Welcome to Indigenous Coffee Talks, a place for live conversations with interesting people from all over the world. And what they have in common is their passion for Jesus and a great story about sharing the good news in the digital space.
In each episode of Coffee Talks, we introduce you to someone who is passionate about using their digital footprint to help bring the gospel to where it needs to go. Through these conversations, we want you to catch a story, grab an idea, and go do something.
Hi guys, welcome again to Coffee Talks. In today's episode, we are joined by Mike Latsko, and we recently caught up with him and asked him about the unreached and unengaged people groups. He hopes to give the rest of his life to raising awareness of, prayer for, and service among the world's unengaged and unreached.
You know, one of the things that we enjoy about meeting new people at Coffee Talks is hearing them share about God's call upon their lives. And this episode, we get this privilege to hear from Mike Latsko.
That's right. So he shared with us that a key moment in his life came in his mid-30s, and when he realized that all his work for God was nothing compared to Christ's finished work for him. So let's hear him share more about it in this episode. Hey Mike, welcome to Coffee Talks.
Hey John,
Hey there,
good to be
Mike.
with you. Hey Simon.
Wow, tell us more about you, how you got to know Indigitus.
Yeah, well, I'm just so touched when you reminded me of that experience that happened in my life a few decades ago when I was in my 30s. And it's true, you know, I was trying to be a good Christian, and from all outward evidence, I was involved in a local church in the state of Texas and in the United States, and on everything on the outside, you know, I was just trying so hard to measure up, and for many, I'm sure I was. But then I realized that there's a passage in the New Testament that talks about through the obedience of the one that the many were made righteous in Romans 5. And that's the verse that totally undid me, Jonah. It's not about my righteousness, but about his. It's not about my obedience, but about his. And I remember just weeping. And not knowing I was going to be telling that story right now, I can, feel the emotion in my own heart right again. And since that moment, I can honestly say that it's been like falling in love again with God, and in a deeper way than I ever did before. And everything that I was afraid of, not measuring up and not doing enough and not obeying enough, I found a new energy to obey and a new energy to follow, just resting in the completed work of Christ. So actually I had forgotten about that, so thank you for reminding me of it. But now I've forgotten what your question was, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. I'm glad that struck you a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you got to know Indigitus, like in that sense of?
Right. Well, a lot has happened in a short amount of time. You know, it's been actually less than a year that someone introduced me to Andrew and to Addison, and we started spending some time together. And they came over to my town over in Phoenix last fall and spent a couple of days with me and some friends of mine, and they were checking out others of their friends throughout this city. So that bonded us a little bit, and then we started looking for each other at different missions conferences in the country. I did your hackathon later in the fall, which was like that. I had never been involved in anything like that before. So all of your leaders were very patient with me as you were coaching me up, and you invited me to present a challenge. And that was a lot of fun. And so I'd say, Jonah, it's been a kind of a growing relationship as we've gotten to know each other. It's been a lot of fun for me.
Wow,
That's great.
I love that. Yeah, it's the relationships part that struck me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always kind of fun to see how God, orchestrates and brings, people's paths together. And we're really glad that our paths cross in those ways. We want to hear a little bit about what God has put on your heart, with Vision 5-9. Tell us a little bit more about that, and what
Yeah.
is that, and how can people get excited about that as well?
Yeah, thank you, Simon. So I'm involved in an organization that I love, and it's been really uh, a godsend for my family. It's called Frontiers, and they work in the Muslim world and seeking to share Jesus. And it's been great to track with them over the last 20 years that I've been involved with them. They're doing a really significant work all over the world. That said, they introduced me to a broader network of organizations like them serving together to love Muslims, and they introduced me to like scores, and actually there are almost 200 organizations like them serving
Wow.
together among our Muslim cousins. And so being able to connect with the broader group, so Vision 5-9 is taken from Revelation 5-9, which speaks of every tongue, tribe, people, and nation enjoying God. And so the Vision 5-9 network is a broader network, and we believe that more can be accomplished together than any of us can on our own, even the best of us and the largest of us and the sharpest of us. A connection with others can accomplish so much more. So I've really fallen in love with the idea of collaborative work and partnering with others, and that's my sweet spot. And this is happening all over the world, I'm sure, as you and your friends know. It's just what the Lord is doing in our day and helping kind of the silos diminish a bit and the kingdom rise up and doing together. I think it's pleasing to the Lord and even more fruitful than we could have imagined otherwise.
Could you say a little bit more about, what that collaborative network, and maybe a story of how you've seen that, multiply or accelerate kingdom work?
Well, what I've appreciated about this particular network is that they have a commitment to what we call effective church planting among all of these sons and daughters of Ishmael. So we want to see the Lord Jesus be enjoyed, who is honored in the Muslim community, and we just want to see him enjoyed increasingly all across the world. And so being able to put kind of our own T-shirts down and our own business cards down and do this together in the majority world church along with the minority world church, and seeing the rise in the majority world of this desire to see Jesus enjoyed and worshiped among all peoples has been what we've all been praying for decades, and now to be living it in our day. So in the country of India, for example, to see the indigenous national community of disciples of Jesus far exceeding the number of workers that would have come in from outside. So those who are what we would call full-time Christian work, who are Indian and sharing Jesus, the sum of that number is just incredibly more than the sum of the number of workers coming in from outside. So this is something that God is doing in our day, and we're seeing this whether it's in Chad or Nigeria or just across the world. This is what God is doing in our day. It's thrilling.
People of God coming together, and that in itself an act of worship, but also raising the name of Jesus. Wow.
And doing it in
Yeah.
partnership, Simon. That's the key. Laying down the ownership and
That's right.
mutually together, what are the strengths that each of us can bring to this kingdom effort, and how can we cover our weaknesses that we all have? But it's that cord of 2 or 3 strands that's not easily broken, and that's
Amen.
not only
Yeah.
our future, but it's the present.
During our catch-up time, Mike, you've shared a little bit about your unique space of being able to find this calling during your during a I could say super golden age
Hmm.
because 50 is golden, right?
Right.
Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Well, actually, so I'm closer to 70 years of age than I am to 60 now. So that places me chronologically in your continuum. And Jonah, I can say that when about the time of my 60th birthday, and I was just asking the Lord, Lord, if you were to give me another 2 years, and knowing that I'm closer to the end of my career in your
Mm,
service than I am to the beginning, how would I finish up? How could I complete the assignment? And I feel like my wife and I heard what that was to be. And that allowed me, Jonah, to
mm,
say no to things that I would not have earlier in my life. There's something that comes with increasing clarity that gives permission to say
Mm.
no to anything that gets in the way. I think, if I can say, I'm assuming that many of your listeners and most of them are closer to your age than to mine.
mm,
And at that season of my life, I felt the need to be a team player, to say yes to a lot of things. And I like that. I counsel 20 and 30-year-olds to get as much experience as they can in a number
mm,
of different areas. But the reality is, as you're as you grow, as your career matures, your strengths are honed, and there should be an increasing awareness of, hey, this is the thing that I'm on the earth to do. This is what I'm best at. This is how I'm best wired. And I really bless that, as that is confirmed in the 30s and 40s of life, and then 50s. And then when you get another decade and you're looking at the closeout, you want to go, okay,
Mm.
what's left? Is there anything left that I really need to give my attention to? And the reality is that you play differently in the last 2 minutes of a game than you do earlier.
Mm.
And that's the
mm.
season that I'm in right now. It's liberating. It's really tremendous. And I'd encourage any of our listeners to do it as soon as possible in your life, so that you'll have the maximum amount
Mm.
of time to give yourself to your strength.
I love that,
Yeah.
Mike. I just want to shift gears a little bit. In your experience, right? From you said that you have been serving with missions since you were in 20s, 30s.
Mhm.
So, like throughout the years, how did you see technology and digital shift the way missions is being done?
Well, it's just been just a tremendous change. I would grope to find words adequate to describe,
Wow.
even in the last decade, what's happening here. And we can really see it, Jonah, in multiple levels. On a field, like from the perspective of the field, whether South America, Asia, Africa, wherever, um, the resources that are available today to come into the minds and the hearts and the experience through our mobile phones and through other platforms, delivery platforms, is just, we can bring the gospel, we can bring really cool video and animation and gaming right
Mm.
to people wherever they are. I mean, the resources that workers have, whether from close by or far away, through digital media and through technology, are just off the charts beyond what we had even 5 to 10 years ago. That's on the
Mm.
field side. And then on the data and research side, what we can do today to accurately describe what God is doing is is beautiful. I mean, whereas before, as recently as 10 years ago, we were content with countrywide data.
Mm.
If we had that, we were thrilled. But now we
Wow.
have city data, village data, and not only
Mm,
that,
Mm.
we can get information of what the Lord is doing in a neighborhood of a large
Mm.
city, and to divide the city into 50 parts. And it's just thrilling to,
Mm.
where's the Jesus film? Where are their disciples? Where where are their gaps? And to be able to mobilize the Lord's people with that kind of specificity. It's not science only, it's not technology only. We still need, the people when at all possible, but just what we're able to do now on the data side is also just great news for the kingdom for the future. And then on the training
Wow.
side, I'll just say I feel like that's still the cutting edge. And you and your friends, I'm believing in the next 5 to 10 years, will help us think even more innovatively about how to bring in time training for disciple making through digital media, arts, and technology in a way that hasn't been possible before. And that'll be the next wave.
It's so refreshing to hear a passionate advocate, and you not only are just championing it, but you are seeing this potential of missions accelerating because of this age that we're in, right, Mike?
Oh, Simon, I just absolutely, and I believe, brother, in you and your tribe. I really do. It's we're all grateful to have come as far as we've come, and that's great. And no one's going to minimize that. But the future is yours. So
Yeah.
let's bless that, and let's say all of the strengths that you and your friends are going to have to take us further up, further in, until the Lord returns. It's for us old timers. This is a great day to be alive
Amen.
and
Wow.
passing on the baton. I mean that very sincerely.
For God's glory. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, I think one of the things that stood out to me as we were catching up, you shared with a lot of passion about this unreached people and unengaged peoples.
Yeah.
We would love for you to unpack that a little bit because, for our listeners, this may be a new concept, but a very important one for us as Christians as we think about helping fulfill the Great Commission.
Okay. Yeah. Be glad to try to do that, and you correct me or reel me in if you need to.
No.
So
You
I
are
think
the expert. Come,
well,
tell us.
I think your listeners will be aware of the concept of people groups. So each of us is involved in a people group, which it would be identified with a certain language. And a people group is simply a gathering of people that self-identify based on worldview or language or religious affiliation. We're this people in contrast to that people. And one of the wonderful things in our day is a mingling and a mixing, especially in urban areas, and that's great. But we still have a basic kind of language grouping alone if we were only looking at that level. So that's a people group. And we say that the sum total of the individuals of all the peoples of the world equals the population of the world. Now, some of those peoples have more spiritual resources than others. And those that are the least served, we call the unreached people groups. So it doesn't mean, an unreached people doesn't mean that there aren't any Christians there or there aren't disciples being made. It's just that there's a relatively small number. Those are the unreached peoples of the world. And we'd like to see as much possible missionary activity among the unreached peoples. Now, a subset of the unreached are what we call the unengaged. So whereas unreached is a term that measures the response of people to Jesus, just says the relatively small number have come to know him, unengaged does not measure the response of people to Jesus at all. Unengaged measures the response of the global church to the people. We haven't yet engaged them. We haven't yet become the Word made flesh to dwell among them. So unengaged peoples does not refer to their response to Jesus. It refers to the church's response to them. And we think about half of the unreached peoples of the world are also unengaged. So we could say that all unengaged peoples are unreached, but not all unreached peoples are unengaged. So we want to see the gospel come into these unengaged peoples so that they can be reached. And I'm giving the rest of my days, if the Lord will help me, to bringing information and inspiration and hopefully mobilization towards these remaining unengaged.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, wow, I was just mind blown by how you gave the definition for that, in a sense that, hey, what am I doing with the things that I have in my influence? Like now with digital, you can actually like send a message to someone in a different, totally opposite time zone and at the opposite part of the world. So,
Yeah.
which led me to think, and I think I asked you this, right, Mike, of like, so what can be done, to be a part of this call? And as Simon said, it's a basic, I think, a basic response of those of followers of Jesus. So, what do you think can be done to be a part of this call, to be able to go and meet the unengaged and be able to see them reached for
Yeah.
the gospel?
Jonah, to answer that, let me just try to be as clear as I can. We think that there are about 1,700 of these unengaged, unreached peoples remaining. About 600 of them are tribal peoples. About 500 are Hindu. 400 would be Muslim, and then 100 each of Buddhist and non-religious. So these are about the 1,700 of these several different religious blocks who, as far as we know, don't yet have workers among them in their language sharing Jesus with intent to make disciples. So this is the apostolic crisis, the apostolic burden that we feel in our day. And we're just so close. We're down to these 1,700, and we feel like if we could simply bring the right people with the right heart, with the right desire to see Jesus magnified among all the peoples of the world, if they can become present, then those peoples have a chance to be reached. They have a chance to be worshipers. So that's the priority, that 1,700. And the reality is, Jonah, to come to your question, we all have different wirings, and the scriptures say that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And I say, let's bless that. Let's say yes to that and not try to pigeonhole any of us into one kind of service that might not be true to the way that God has made us. So I like to say, okay, how has God wired you? Do you enjoy being on stage or off stage? Are you a speaker, or are you an administrator? I just find that how he's wired us is the way that we're happiest when we live in it. And we're increasingly unhappy when we try to be something that we're not. So I like to ask people, how has God wired you? What are the burdens that you have? Some of us have a burden for one kind of ministry, some for another kind. Some want to be all in for just sharing Jesus, no matter with what age group or generation or economic status. All of that's part of who we are. And so we look for connection points. What's your burden? What's your niche? What's your gifting? And then when you look at these 1,700 unengaged peoples, then the question becomes, Lord, how do I leverage how you've made me to make a difference there? Lord, we'll let other people handle continuing the work where it's already begun. That's great, and it needs to continue until you return. But Lord, can you use me the way you've wired me to be part of a team to this work as yet unbegun? Would you help me lay a foundation there so that someone else can build upon it? So I like to look for, what are the connections? Where's the overlap between the way we are wired and the needs of the world still remaining?
I like what you said. Yeah. Simon, I like what you said about how can I start the work that's yet unbegun? And how can I lay a foundation there so that others may build upon it?
Yes. Jonah, if we start it, then we can finish it, or someone else can finish it. But the work unbegun can never be finished. So let's begin the work unbegun so that we can finish it. So in our language for this coffee time, we're saying if we engage them, then we can reach them. But until we engage them, the people remain both unreached and unreachable. They're unreachable until someone shows up.
So much to unpack there. I just love your heart, Mike. You know, every opportunity you have, you're always reminding us and reminding those who are listening, God has something He's placed on your heart. Go do it, go be all in. I picked that up. And then, even earlier, you just kept reminding us, and through your own life, right? As you said,
Yes.
with increasing clarity, it helps you to say no to things. I know I have the challenge sometimes. I want to say yes because it seems like it's so attractive, or it feels like I don't want to let somebody down. But actually, I need to be wrestling with God to say, is this what you've placed on my heart, my burden? And so it's true what you said. As you grow, you get to know yourself more and more. You discover the things that you can do, the things you won't do, and the things that you will do or must do. And thank you so much for modeling that for us. I know it's not easy, all 60 some, close to 70 years, right? As we wrap up this time, what is one thing you'd like to leave for our listeners?
Simon, I want to say to you and to Jonah, it's just been an honor to be with you guys and to be reconnected. And may the Lord go before us and bring other opportunities for talking and for sharing. I think, brother, as I look back over my life and, as I think about my own son and what I hope for him, the one thing that comes to my heart is just that we never underestimate what God can do through our lives. We feel inadequate. We wish we were smarter or better looking or more gifted or had this or that. And brother, what I'm thinking is that, as a father, I love it when my son enjoys what I've given to him. And I think, how would I respond if on Christmas Day I gave him a present and he said, "Oh, Dad, this is okay, but I really wanted something, something else." But a father takes delight when his child appreciate what the father has given. And so I just would say, let's enjoy the way that God has made us. Don't try to be someone else. He loves you. He's made you with a purpose. He could have made you to be someone else. Identify the way He's put you together and enjoy that. Step into it. Exploit it. Grow it. Expand it. Delight in it. And offer that to the world. That's when we're most attractive. That's when we're most fruitful. And that's when we're most happy. So don't underestimate what God can do through you and in you. And boy, I'm going to be on the sidelines just cheering you on and believing in you. And I mean that. I do believe in you. And I'm confident about the future with you in the saddle.
Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing that. And thank you so much for joining us in our coffee talks. So I want to address our listeners right now. If you guys grabbed an idea or did something, we'd love to hear your stories too. Our line is open for you, or you can get to check our site. That's indigt.us/coffee, or email us at coffeetalks@indigitus.org. So we get excited about all the different ways you do missions right where you are. And of course, we want to join you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode. See you next time. Thanks for joining us. You can find more Coffee Talks wherever you get your podcasts. If you like this content, follow Indigitus on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. We'll see you there.